What's up, Tiger fans? Steve Leslie, YSNLive.com, your home of Springfield football. Proud to have another Coach's Corner sponsored by WRS Wealth Advisors. We can't thank them enough for all their support. Proud to be a part of Springfield local football again this season and joined by the head coach, Sean Guerriero. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward for another good year.
Well, let's go. Let's have another good year. Let's jump in Friday night at Brookfield. That's a talented football team you played Friday night. Brookfield with some very good skilled athletes. I thought it was a very physical game. Very impressed on your team. You were down in the fourth quarter. I get the touchdown to tie the game. And then, Sean, I thought the key to it, after you tie the game, they get a pretty good kick return and your defense come out and shut them down. And you were able to take the ball into the end zone and get a good win. Talk about the progress of this football team.
Well, our defensively definitely stepped up. In two crucial times. I think they had two goal line stands, and just from the time of the game, the momentum was definitely on ours. I think our defense, did a great job and just keep pounding away. It kind of never gave up. They kind of kept their eye on what we were trying to do. So defensively, it was a remarkable game for us. We just got to make sure we eliminate the big play, and with that, our defense played lights out.
Going to the offense, I've heard you talk. There's some things in progress, but I go down to those two drives to tie the game and take the lead. Execution looked very solid, and Bo, did both things for sure. But I thought Snyder made some big runs in that second half of the game. Talk about him a little bit.
Even with Bo is we're going to still try to establish a run game, and that's kind of where it starts right now. So with how much experience we do have, coming back from last year, we still got some spots where we need to build some depth and get those kids reps, and you're seeing it a little bit. So I'm very happy with the progress that we had from weeks 1 to 2. That's something where we just got to make sure that we're competing every day and we're getting better. But with Bo Snyder, he's a great kid because we can kick out with him. We can throw the ball to him out of the backfield. He's a good, had some nice tough runs last week. So we just got to be able to make sure we try to get that ground game to him. And again, with Brookfield, they had 7 guys in the box. Shondell Gardner had a good game, but we just got to take what they're giving us, and that's one thing that we got to make sure we end up staying what we're doing offensively and get into a rhythm. We just got to make sure we stop shooting ourselves in the foot too. There's times where we get a penalty or we had a couple snaps over our head, which is we got to make sure we eliminate those type of things to not put ourselves, in a 2nd and 20 or things of that nature, which is kind of just killing the rhythm of our offense right now.
Talking with Coach Sean Guerriero, Coach's Corner, Springfield Tigers, sponsored by WRS Wealth Advisors. Coach, we talk about improvements. You improved a lot, I thought, on the offensive line of scrimmage week 1 to 2. For you and the staff, where do you want to see some improvement from week 2 to 3?
Well, I still think we want to try to establish that run game offensively. That's something where obviously we want to be able to get over 100 yards rushing, whether that's combined between Bo Snyder, Bo Brungard, and Joey Sandine. So we got to be able to make sure, with that ground game, hopefully we can make it a little bit more consistent. Brookfielders bringing the house, all day. So it was tough for our kids, especially seeing that at week 2. But I definitely think as the game went on, they did get better. Defensively, with the step we made from week 1 to 2, now if we can eliminate the big play and continue to run to the football and rally, that's really what we need to do, is make sure we stay deeper than the deepest man. And like I said, you said with the Brookfield skill players, he was 6'4". He made 2 great plays. Those 2 plays were over 100 yards.
Right.
So that's something we just got to be able to make sure that we got to try to eliminate that. And if we heat it up front with our D line and just try to take some of that time away from our DBs, sure, and cover some man-to-man or things of that nature, hopefully that'll end up helping our defense as a whole.
No question. With Coach Guerriero, good win over to Brookfield. A good rivalry. It's been great games over the years. So we get through week 2. Now we're to week 3. Geneva. You'll head on down to Spire Stadium. From what I understand, Coach, great facility. Talk about Geneva and to the Springfield fans of the stadium that you're going to be going to.
Well, the stadium is beautiful. I've seen it before, so that's something where I think stand-wise it can hold, 5,000. But they said with the outside pavement, things of that nature, can go up to 10. So the stadium right now it'll be another great experience for our kids and for our team and for our community to go there and play. Seeing them, they're Division III school, so obviously we're going to see a little bit better competition, I think, from that nature. They're going to run the wing tee, so for our kids, we have to be sound in our assignment and reading our keys because you don't know where the ball is going. I think they do a very good job behind the ball with their fullback and their two wings, their quarterback. They're going to try to establish the run game. So we got to be able to make sure that kind of reminded you of the old school McDonald where they might pass the ball 5 times, but if you're not disciplined, you're going to give up 5 touchdowns in that passing game. So we just got to be able to make sure that we don't try to do too much. Defensively, and we just do our job and try to get them off the field. It'll be where they're going to try to get 3 to 4 yards, a play. If we can put them in, second and long, third and long, that's where we want to, put them defensively. So it'll be a great challenge for our kids. And again, with the travel, I think it's an hour and a half trip. So we'll see how our kids handle that. But I think our kids are excited because knowing the facility and things of that nature where we're going, our kids are excited for the challenge for week 3.
Yeah, it'll be a great challenge for sure. I wanted to ask you, when you take all that experience over the last 2 years, traveling, going on the road, last year, if I remember, did play some wing tee teams in the playoff round. I want to say the semifinal. Does that help you as a staff to prepare for a Geneva, having seen all that? And obviously the travel, you guys are well used to that, and the kids, it should be no problem.
I would think the travel will be fine. I think with the kind of setup that we have, our kids will be comfortable on the bus. We have a truck and a trailer that carries all our equipment, so the kids aren't jammed in a bus.
Sure.
So I think the travel process of it is very nice for our kids, and they can kind of sit and relax and put their headphones on, and whether they're sleeping or just chilling out on the bus, it's good. So with the travel part of it, I don't think it'll end up affecting us, going through that. But going from our staff, we've seen a lot of different stuff, and being able to play the extra games. We always try to make sure with our kids, okay, was our scouting report or our game plan on key with what we saw. So, I couldn't ask for a better staff, and I think there's not been too many times where we've been in a situation where we didn't know what was coming or we didn't plan. To what we were going to see on Friday night. So I think our coaches, and again, I give hats off to my staff. I'd put our staff up against anybody for our kids. And the preparation part of it, where I hope they shouldn't be seeing anything that we haven't seen, from Monday through Thursday.
Well, shout out to your staff for sure. That's a great group. They do a lot of great things for Springfield. I wanted to ask you now, 2 games in, I know your community loves Springfield football. Good crowds for you both times. How's that been? Do you notice the difference in the atmospheres this first 2 weeks of the season?
You can. I think the hype that we've had the past 2 weeks, and obviously opening up with South Range, it was a great crowd here. But just walking out of the locker room and hearing them, and the band and everybody else, and having a packed house was awesome. During the Brookfield game, we had a lot of excitement in that fourth quarter, but there was times it was hard for us to communicate with our kids because you get so used to, having 300, 400, 500 people there. It was something. So we were, screaming and yelling, and it just brought back some good memories just to hear the hype. And I think late in the game, Brookfield, I think, had either burger timeout or they got a penalty. I think just from the crowd being loud and you can't hear. So it's just great to have people back in the stands and have that, have our kids have the experience of hearing the crowd roar and the ahs and the stuff of that nature. So it's I just hope it stays that way, that we have some sort of normalcy where the kids can enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope it stays that way. Everybody continue to do what they need to do so we can keep this going. With Coach Guerriero, Coach's Corner, sponsored by WRS Health Advisors. Before we get into keys to the win, I wanted to ask you, when you play so many games that you have in the last 2 years, and some of those younger guys are getting all that practice time in and the experience of being around varsity football, are you starting to see that with some of these young guys that are getting the varsity time now?
Well, I think you see the extra weeks of practice that we've had from the playoff time. So I think at times our kids end up picking up. And with our younger kids and with the process, right now we have 60 kids on our roster from 9 through 12, which is the most I've ever had. But right now we just got to make sure we keep these kids playing. we try to take as many freshman and JV games as we can. And as long as our kids are playing, I think that is the key. Whether they're, a freshman or a senior, we got to make sure they keep playing and keep competing for their spots. And our kids know it doesn't mean if you're not a starter week 1 or 2 that you can't be a starter week 3, 4, and 5. So the battles that we have at practice and the competition, and if we get a kid who does great in a JV or freshman game, we try to end up rewarding them and moving them up. And even, from our first JV game, we had a couple kids that we started sliding on some special teams to give them a little bit of reward. So that competition and just making sure we're playing. I know that we have Geneva's coming to us on Saturday for a JV game tonight. Our freshman team's playing West Branch. So our kids are going to see a lot of reps. And really, that's how you get better. And it's hard sometimes to simulate that game-type situation in practice. But we try. I think our AD, Mark Hart, does a great job getting us games. And we're going to try to continue to have our young kids keep playing games and keep competing for spots, because spots are still open. We can't be satisfied with being a starter, week 1 or 2.
That's an awesome answer, and that's awesome. Mr. Carden's a great at AD, and getting those kids playing time is the key. All right, Coach, you're going to head on down to Spire Stadium, take on Geneva. What's the keys for Springfield to get win number 2?
For us, I still think it's gonna end up coming down to turnovers. For us offensively, we've got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot, trying to eliminate negative plays, and defensively, we can't give up. The big play. For us, I think those are kind of the keys that we're going to end up focusing on. Special teams, we got to just make sure we keep getting better, and I think we have over the first 2. So I think with losing Clay Medvick was a pretty big. He's been a kicker for us for 4 years, and that's been a challenge for us, even on kickoff now, where we're just not deep enough yet to have them kick it off in the end zone and get touchbacks. But Kosick has done a great job of doing that, and we're getting better up to that point. So we just got to make sure special teams continue to get better, and we're solid there. So we just got to be solid in what we do and making sure that we're ready, to compete on Friday night.
Well, there's no doubt you'll be ready to compete. No doubt the Tigers will be ready to go and get win number 2. Best of luck to you, the kids, the staff. Have a safe trip down there, and let's talk next week about victory number 2 for the Springfield Tigers.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
All righty. Have a good